Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to round 5 of the DTM Esports Pro Series 2024. My name is Luke Crane. I will be one of your commentators slash hosts today. And I'm joined by Connery Maddock. How you doing, Connery? You all good?
Yep, I'm doing all good as well. We are getting into the latter point of this season now. We are just a couple of events away from eventually crowning a champion in this one, which feels very weird. It feels like it started just yesterday, but we're already getting towards the end. I guess time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, 100%. Tim Yarshall leads the championship. He needs to have a 68-point advantage going into the final rounds of races, which happens next weekend, and he will be your champion today. But he needs to gain 21 points for that to be the case over Nikodem Wisniewski, Jeffrey Rietveld, Kevin Siggy as the likes. Right, you may be at home wondering what the hell is going on here. What cars are they using? Well, DTM 2023 cars that we're using today are actually in RaceRoom. But let's check out a little video package to show what you can go and buy on RaceRoom today. So you can head into the game right now, hit the store, and you can buy yourself the DTM pack for 2023. Right, let's talk about the championship so far. We did just allude to it slightly there, that Tim Yarshall has been the dominant force, Connery. We do have Nikodem Wisniewski, who is still within a chance of winning this. And, of course, Jeffrey Rietveld. So that is your top three. It is very, very close. And then Kevin Siggy with an outside chance of maybe getting himself in. What do P2, P3, and P4 in this championship have to do today to really keep this alive to next week?
Hope and pray that Tim Yarshall has an awful one. I think, putting it bluntly like that is probably the most realistic situation. The only thing that's in their hands is finishing as best as possible, right? But, even if Tim Yarshall finishes P2, P3, P4 in these races, he is still very, very secure as far as that top spot in the championship is concerned. So it's really out of their hands, and really Tim Yarshall's to lose.
Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, Tim Yarshall has been a bit of a breakout star. He's been around in the terms of RaceRoom Esports at the top end of the talent list, if you like, and really has just proved to himself to be one of the very best. He's just got a couple of race results to get now to just, solidify himself as a champion. He'll get that role in the RaceRoom Discord as well as a Hall of Famer, which is something that these drivers will be looking to get as well. Right, maybe this is the first time you've joined, and if so, then we've got a lovely little highlights package from the last round of races which happened last week. Waiting for those lights to indeed disappear and to go green light racing. Across the line we will go. And we are off and running here in the Saxon Ring. This is a great start from Tim Yarshall. Gets straight ahead of Kevin Siggy. Kevin Siggy is going to be fighting his way with Nikodem Wisniewski, although he loses out. Erhan Yayovski is going to go round the outside here, and I think by the time they come through turn number 2, it is going to be Erhan that holds on. Is there a slight overlap, though, for Wisniewski? This is great news for the front two. Means they can drive away as they all sort themselves out a little bit further back. Jeffrey Rietveld, I think, may have just found himself in position as well. Front two have got away beautifully well.
Then you'll be able to experience it for yourself, but look how much fanning out is going on back here. Oh, around is Axel Vermeulen and Leonardo Verla in the wall as well. In the background, a mess at the back of the field.
Coming in towards the second to last corner, but once again, the biggest winner here was Ottaviani. Ottaviani got the move done as soon as he possibly could. And I tell you what, on the defensive from Gianmarco Panucci, now all of a sudden put him in a position to maybe make a move up ahead. We've also got now Lucas Muller, who's just got 2 positions in 1. Wow, frantic stuff here. There it is, there's the fist bump. You can tell he's happy. And well, there it is. Tim Yarshall is a winner once again. The last time he won was the second race of the season. He's been so consistent every single race. He has been in the top 5. And well, he's just added another race victory to that. This is the 30-minute feature race. We've got ourselves a pit window during this as well, where they have to change all 4 tyres. And we are off, and we are running down towards turn number 1. And I tell you what, Nikodem Wisniewski has got an absolute flyer. And by the time we come through turn number 1, I think he probably could have got across the bonnet there of Yarshall. As you see a spin in the background then, that is one of the R8G cars. I think it might be Erhan Yayovsky and Marcel Shinjik, isn't it? Shinjik, who had such a good qualifying, unfortunately finds himself massively down the order.
We are seeing drivers come down and in. Actually, Yarshall coming down and in. There we go. Same with Jeffrey Rietveld in behind. So those are the early calls. As here comes Tim Yarshall coming across the start-finish line now. There's the G2 Esports car further down the road as Yarshall just about, well, gets himself ahead of those 2 cars coming off the pit lane, but not ahead of Wisniewski though.
Yeah, but look at Siggy. Siggy got Isaac Price. That was a massive pit entry for Kevin Siggy. Had to get that job done. He's now behind his teammates, so they've got to work together now, and they don't really need to be too worried about Nikodem Wisniewski as to whether it is as we cross the line then, and it is going to be the final lap, and it is another race victory then for Wisniewski. The fist pump is a plenty as Tim Yarshall finishes in 2nd, Rietveld in 3rd, Kevin Siggy in 4th, and those are the 4 that are going to be challenging for this title heading into the final few rounds, or the final 4 races of the season. So that's what went down last week at the Saxon Ring. It belonged to Tim Yarshall and Nikodem Wisniewski. Those 2 were absolutely brilliant, and that's why they are the top 2 in the championship. They are followed very closely, though, by Jeffrey Rietveld in 3rd position, and then we've got Kevin Siggy in 4th spot. Right, let's check out the calendar for the season. Then we've, of course, already had 4 rounds to the championship. We have 2 left to go. So we had the Norris Ring, we had Nürburgring, Lausitz Ring, and the Saxon Ring. So if you've missed them, unfortunately, you're going to have to go back on YouTube to watch them. But today, it is the Red Bull Ring. And then next week, we head to the finale at the Hockenheim Ring, which should be pretty darn exciting. Let's check out then the timetable for this day of racing. Of course, we have the countdown stream start. Quali 1 about to happen, about half past the hour. Then we have race number 1, which starts at 22:08 in Europe. Then we have Quali 2 for race number 2. Then we do some interviews if the drivers decide they want to get themselves involved. But then we have the stream end. It's really as simple as that. The only difference between race 1 and race 2 is that the race number 1 is 20 minutes long and there's no pit stop window. And in race number 2, there is a pit stop window which opens 7.5 minutes into the race and closes with 7.5 minutes to go. And the race is 30 minutes long. Right, let's check out the entry list very, very quickly. Have a little buzz through here, just so you can see all of our drivers. They are indeed in alphabetical order. That's your 32 drivers. A couple of them have changed actually across the course of the season. We've had 2 drivers being added in. But yeah, for the most part, most of these drivers are still running and indeed racing. Right. Let's check out what they're actually racing for. Lots of prizes are up for grabs. Money, real-life racing experiences, some electric scooters just for being a clean son of a gun. Let's check out that video. Lots of prizes on the line. Tested GT4 cars, a few racing licenses being thrown at you, a chance to race in a Touran wagon as well, championship, which is where Kelvin van der Linde started in Europe as well. So a big opportunity. Obviously, he's one of the best GT drivers in the world now. So you never know, that could be the start of a beautiful career. We've got one more video to show you before we get into our racing action, but this one is really exciting because this week, DTM, the testing season got underway at the Hockenheimring, where they will indeed crown another champion later this year. But yeah, the tests were out, the cars were out, the smell was out, and of course, the sound was out. Let's check out a little bit of highlights from the action this week.
Endlich ist es wieder richtig laut. Denn die neue DTM-Saison ist gestartet. Auf dem Hockenheimring drehten die Fahrer bei den offiziellen Tests ihre ersten Runden.
Die Vorfreude ist da, einfach weil es so ein bisschen wie der erste Schultag ist. Alle wieder zusammen, das erste Mal alle zusammen auf der Strecke.
In eine neue DTM-Saison zu starten ist immer was ganz Besonderes. Man sieht die neuen Beklebungen, Lackierungen, ganzen Teams, Fahrer, alles ist neu gemischt.
Und das sind sie, die 20 Fahrer der DTM-Saison 2024. Vertraute Gesichter treffen dabei auf frischen Wind.
Zum allerersten Mal sind wir auch froh, dass die ersten 10 der letztjährigen Meisterschaft wieder dabei sind.
DTM ist mega stark, sind sicher die besten GT3, GT-Fahrer auf der Welt hier am Start.
Ich glaube, wir können ganz viele Fahrer mit auf die Rechnung packen, die ja wahrscheinlich hier in Hockenheim um den Titel kämpfen werden.
So unterschiedlich die Fahrer als Typen sind, so eint sie ein Ziel. Sie alle wollen ihn schlagen, Thomas Preining. Doch der Champion ist heiß auf die Titelverteidigung.
Der Titel letztes Jahr hat definitiv Hunger auf mehr gemacht. Es ist das beste Gefühl, das ich bis jetzt erleben durfte. Von dem her werden wir alles dran setzen, um das wieder zu schaffen.
In gut 2 Wochen geht es in Oschersleben um die ersten Meisterschaftspunkte dieser ganz besonderen Saison, der 40. Jubiläumssaison der DTM.
Mein erstes Jahr war 2002 im Vorprogramm der DTM, seitdem bin ich dabei und natürlich 3 Titel in den 40 Jahren eingefahren. Von dem her ja, bin ich stolz, ein kleiner Teil der DTM-Geschichte zu sein.
Ich versuche jetzt seit einigen Jahren den 3. Titel hinterher zu fahren und den noch so einzupacken. Daher wäre es natürlich schön, wenn es im Jubiläumsjahr klappt.
Doch egal, wer von ihnen Champion wird, Fakt ist, in dieser Saison gibt es definitiv etwas zu feiern. Happy Birthday, DTM!
So yeah, there we go. Some racing action for you on the screen there. DTM will start in just a few weeks' time, and it is the 40th anniversary of the season. So should be nice and good. Plenty of drivers on the grid there. For me, Connery, to see Nicky Tim and Mirko Bortolotti both in the same team, that's going to be absolutely fireworks.
Yeah, 2 absolute legends. That's gonna be crazy, and you know, just the caliber of the real DTM fields here this season is certainly a testament to you know, its continuing health at this stage, because you know, it hasn't always been absolutely fantastic. That's fine to say, but of course the future is looking brighter and brighter for the series as time goes on, both in the real world side of things and here on the esports side of things as well. It does seem like it's starting to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, the strongest grid in the real world of motorsport in terms of GT driving as a fact. It is as simple as that. And now we head over to some racing action with the strongest GT field on RaceRoom, which is also a fact. Let's head over the Red Bull Ring then, as we see the drivers there all in their little Zoom call, waiting to get themselves involved with the racing action. So we've got ourselves a qualifying session to then take us into our first race of the evening. So let's head out to the Red Bull Ring and see what is absolutely occurring. There we go. Some cars, some tracks. Oh, and the Red Bull Ring. Connery, what are we expecting from today?
Well, we're expecting, hopefully, a whole bunch of overtakes, because you get, again, this is the Red Bull Ring. You know, it's very short, very furious circuit. However, you do have some opportunities to try and go for the absolute dive bomb, sling yourself down the inside, most notably in towards turn 3 and turn 4 as well. So I don't think we'll see the same situation here as we have at some other circuits where we had a lot of drivers stuck behind others, unable to make moves. I think the opportunities are there at this racetrack to get by. It just requires a lot of commitment.
Yeah, it certainly does. Again, we're going to probably butt each other's heads here because I think it's turn 2 and turn 3 that there's going to be overtaking opportunities, not turn 3 and turn 4. I don't believe that what you would call turn 2 is really a turn, but we'll agree to disagree. But yeah, you're right. Up to the top of the hill to Remus. Remus is probably the most prominent in terms of an overtaking opportunity. Schlossgold as well for turn number 3. But it's going to take a stellar performance from these drivers today to get a race result.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That's the long and short of it here, Lucas. We get ourselves our first lap started here in this particular qualifying session. It's fantastic to see these drivers, put in all the effort that they can in these sorts of events. It's great to see.
Do you want to hear some facts? I know you love some facts from me. Some championship facts from the drivers.
Go on then.
Right, okay, copy. I was waiting for you to say, yeah, get really excited. But don't worry about it. I'll get really excited. Yeah, I want to hear it. Most wins this season. Nikodem Wisniewski's got 3. Then we've got Tim Yarshall and Kevin Siggy, both with 2 wins each. Most podiums, Tim Yarshall's got 7, Nikodem's got 6, and Kevin Siggy has got 5. In terms of top 5s, and most top 5s, Tim's got 9 out of a possible 9. Nikodem Wisniewski's got 7, and Jeffrey Rietveld has got 7. And most top 10s, it's 9 for Tim Yarshall. Nikodem's got 8, and Jeffrey has 8. That's why those 3 are the top in the championship, because they've been consistently good. Why is Tim right at the sharp end of the grid? He's not been outside the top 5, which is absolutely ridiculous. I look at Wisniewski, he's had a DNF and a P22 this year. Jeffrey Rietveld's had a P21 and a P7. I guess you can't really count that as a bad result. Without that P21, I think Jeffrey's comfortably in second position, maybe even challenging for the lead. Kevin Siggy's had a DNF this season and a P15. So yeah, that's why Tim Yarshall is indeed leading this championship. Not because he's just been going out there and winning a couple of races. It is the fact that he's just got top 5 after top 5 after top 5.
He has. Consistency is the name of the game in a series like this. You can't be having off weeks here and there. You have to be on top of your game, constantly getting inside those podium positions, constantly getting top 5s to be able to put yourself in the best position. And like you mentioned, Luke, that's exactly what Yarshall has done to try and get his gap that he currently holds in the championship. But we're seeing a couple of our first laps come through. Of course, drivers not quite up to speed just yet. These would usually be sort of banker laps, a solid and respectable lap time to then build off of for the rest of the session. That's what the drivers are trying to achieve at the moment. It is Nikodem Wisniewski that is provisional pole position here at the moment by just about 1.5 tenths of a second, but we are expecting that field to tighten up by the time this qualifying session is done. It always happens.
Yeah, I was a bit worried as to whether Tim Yarshall had already incurred that qualifying ban that Kevin Siggy last week told us he was very close to. I can see he's doing a first sector out there, so that would appear that is not the case. He's yet to get a lap time in though, so maybe a little bit of pressure. But Tim Yarshall, does he really feel pressure? I'm not sure he does. He's been that good during this season, because I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if it's your first time ever tuning in, you're thinking Tim Yarshall's the only driver with loads of top 5s, must be a really easy championship. This is maybe the closest GT championship in the world. It is that ridiculously close.
Oh, Yarshall abandoning that lap though, so he hasn't had a good run of things early on in this qualifying session, still yet to set, well, any lap time, let alone a competitive one. So time is of the essence here for Yarshall. He should still have plenty of time to at least get some form of respectable lap in, but it's not been the best opening to the session for that Porsche driver. Here comes Enzo Benito. He's going to come across the line and start a lap here in a couple of moments. Lots of movement on the timing screen. Wisniewski's still holding on to that provisional pole position, but it is Kevin Siggy who's in second place at the moment. Dominic Blyer in third, as we see yet more names get promoted up that order.
Yeah, I think it's really important that you've just mentioned there that getting a banker lap time is of the utmost importance. Wisniewski, Kevin Siggy, of course, both of those drivers are in the top 4 of the championship. Where is Jeffrey Rietveld? Rietveld he's yet to put a lap time in. He's down in P31 there. I wonder if does he have a qualifying ban of some sort? Maybe he does as well. Might be worth going on board with him and checking him out. No, he doesn't. Wait, hold on. He did just momentarily move up the order. There we go. So P4. So there we go. That's that confirmed. He is golden. He is all good. No, he keeps dropping down to P31. So I'm wondering
what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what is going on there, but Rietveld does move up the order, and then he keeps dropping down the order. So, yeah, not sure exactly what's happening there. But right now, yeah, Tim Yarshall is under a lot of pressure. Currently, if it was to start right now, would be starting P27, which would be perfect for our front 2. not so perfect for Tim himself.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and refresh our overlays here a little bit and see if that solves it. But yeah, no, it seems still a bit undecided about where Rietveld is. He has an official position, you know, I mean, it says P31 down at the bottom, and then it tries to promote him up. We'll have to see what happens there. Anyway, Isaac Price coming up across the line
Tim
now.
Yarshall. There he is, P3. Tim Yarshall, just 1 and a bit tenth of a second off of pole position, and I think if you offer him P3 before the day starts, he takes that. All he needs to do realistically is, again, just keep finishing in those top 5s, and he will be your DTM Esports Pro Series champion of 2024, following in the footsteps of drivers such as Kevin Siggy, as Moritz Lohner, even Tim Heinemann. So, yeah, massive names ahead of him. We've managed to do it before him. Yeah, Tim Yarshall looking to add his name to that list, and currently in that top 3, looking very good indeed.
Yeah, I think Rietveld's time. Well, the graphics are bugged out on Rietveld's like position, but that time does seem to be accurate. So 102 behind pole position sitter would make Rietveld P3 at the moment. Yeah,
he would be P3, and that's, I say, it's almost a complete reversal of how the championship is. It's not nowhere near. Kevin Siggy about to come across the line to start on the lap. Marco Pajic, the Mad Dog, who, fun fact for you, has been P10 the last 4 races in a row.
Wow, that's a streak, isn't it? I mean, he would love it to be P1 4 races in a row, but Vegas can't be choosers, I suppose.
Certainly not the streak I'd like from Marco Pajic. He is a beautiful looking man. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Leonard Carton across the line for Der Academy. I believe that they are partnered with Falcon Sim Racing. So Falcon Sim Racing are effectively the sort of the mummy and daddy of the Academy group. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that they're all partnered in some form or some way. But there's one of the Falcon cars, Leonard Krippner, who is, of course, with Tim Yarshall, is with Lucas Muller as well, but they've not really been up there backing up Tim. Tim's genuinely done this on his own this season. You've got the Redline boys, you've got a couple of drivers to work with. G2 have had a couple of drivers to kind of help each other at the sharp end, but yeah, Tim Yarshall hasn't had a rear gunner, has not had a wingman to work with, and ultimately is doing a really, really good job on his own.
Yeah, it's impressive considering that fact, right? That he doesn't have any help, or very little help at the front of the field, yet is still able to put up the stellar performances amongst pressure from, you know, the likes of Redline, who have had a couple of drivers inside that top 5 on multiple occasions, but struggling to get the top step of the podium. So, yeah, that is a very interesting one. So, a very self-sufficient Tim Yarshall here at the moment. Currently P5, or I don't know, well, P5, maybe P6, depending on where the system decides to put Rietveld currently at the moment. So, not the best qualifying session we've seen from Yarshall. He would certainly wouldn't like to be losing on the points delta coming into the final round of the season just to make it a little bit closer. But I imagine his main priority here is just get to the finish roughly inside that top 5.
Yeah, I think this is good for the likes of Siggy, for Wisniewski, and I think Rietveld is in 3rd position. So those 3 needing more and more drivers between them and Tim Yarshall. Tim Yarshall currently in 6th position. We believe it might be 7th position again once it figures itself out. So yeah, this is good. Is there anyone else that can maybe move up? Lucas Muller, by the way, looks like he is going to be able to move up the order. Well, Enzo Benito has moved up the order then. So P2 for Enzo Benito, and that's another driver a bit further ahead, pushing Tim Yarshall down. But as I say that, Tim Yarshall, under an immense amount of pressure, has managed to put himself up onto the front row of the grid and scrap everything I've just said, because now he's got his own destiny in his own hands. That is brilliant work there from Tim Yarshall. So he, on my money, is P2. I think that will now, yeah, I think, well, Brzezinski's now up to P5. I think Rietveld is officially P5 once this all figures itself out.
So Kevin Siggy up and across the line then. Where does he finish in terms of this particular lap? Is he still maintaining P4? Yeah, I think he is. Just 1/10 of a second behind the leader. The top 3, well, top 4 are covered by that single 10th of a second, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I will say one thing here. Tim Yarshall needs one more pole position to guarantee himself the pole position award, which will be, the prize is going to be an Asher steering wheel. That's a really, really cool prize. Nikodem Wisniewski has currently got 1 pole position already, and he's keeping it alive. So if he can keep hold of this pole, that means he'll be on 2, but he will have to take pole position in the next 3 races just to tie Tim Yarshall. And again, I guess they get half of a rim each. I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, they'll have to share, right? You know, cut it straight down the middle.
You get it for 1 week, and then you've got to send it to me.
No, I was thinking literally cut it straight down the middle. I mean, the wheel won't work anymore, but at least they get half and half, right?
Yeah, no, I think it might be more beneficial to keep sending it to each other. But there we go. It's confirmation that Nikodem Wisniewski is going to be your pole sitter. So congratulations to Wisniewski. There are a couple of seconds here where the session, positions can change. I'm not sure if any of the top drivers were on a lap time. Enzo Benito, who was banned from qualifying both races last time out, has made up for that today by qualifying in 3rd spot. You've then got Kevin Siggy in 4th. Will Enzo come into play here and help Kevin Siggy out? Can he get ahead of Tim Yarshall and help Kevin Siggy get ahead? Because that is exactly what's going to happen here today. Enzo Benito is going to do everything in his power to try and get Kevin and Jeffrey the best results they possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to be a menace inside of Yarshall's mirrors. That's for sure. They've really got to put him off his game. They got to pull out every single trick in the book that is legal by the rule book to try and make Yarshall finish somewhere outside the top 5, because really that's the only scenario from both races here today where they have any shots or any decent shot at taking this championship in the final round of the season. But of course then they have the issue of Wisniewski, who's currently got himself onto provisional pole position. He is of course the big challenger to Tim Yarshall here in this one. He is 2nd place in that championship, and well, he's done all that he needs to do in qualifying here at the moment, but with his direct competitor starting on the same row, the grids, it's little respite, I suppose.
No, you're not wrong. I'm trying to get some answers. I hear a few people going, where was Jeffrey? I'm just going to throw a question out there to the race room guys to figure out whether that indeed is a... whether indeed that is a bug or not, although we're about to find out, to be completely honest. It's nearly race time for race 1, Connery, of 2.
It is, and we're all set up here at the Red Bull Ring. Of course, it has a chance to be a pretty chaotic start. Well, race starts at the Red Bull Ring usually are. I think the only other track that's worse for it is probably Monza, right? But yeah, it's a single file line through Lauda Curve, turn number 1, and then of course we have that long run down into the braking zone at turn 3, where we potentially might see multiple instances of side by side, maybe even 3 wide on the first lap of things. Let's just hope everyone gets through it okay.
Yeah, turn number 2 or 3, whatever you want to call it, the one at the top of the hill, Remus. That is going to be the biggest pinch point. That's going to be the best overtaking opportunity. You can also use that corner to set yourself up for a move down towards Schlossgold, which is turn number 3. And, well, Jeffrey is in P31 here, so I'm not sure what has exactly happened. But his time on the leaderboard was saying that he was only... Well, he would have been 5th, but ultimately he is down in 31st position. So again, I hope we get an answer during this, but he definitely wasn't banned from qualifying because he did put laps in. That's why a time popped up. But yeah, very odd indeed.
Yeah, we'll have to try and see if we can get any word from race control regarding that one. But I think if you're Rietveld, well, as frustrating as it may be, if he's been put here due to an issue, it sucks, but you have to deal with the card that you've been dealt with here at the moment. So P31 start right now for the Dutch driver of Jeffrey Rietveld. We'll get word on what has happened as soon as we are able to get that word back from race control. But for everyone else though, and notably for Wisniewski, he's going to be relatively happy about the situation. One less red line car at the front of the field to be dealing with. Same with Yarshall.
Yeah, well, red line will probably be hoping there was 3 up there, but I'm not sure exactly what's gone on. We've got an answer of not sure why. So yeah, everyone's a little bit perplexed as to what's going on there, but like you just said there, Conor, we've got to move on. It is what it is. Nikodem Wisniewski, Tim Yarshall are your front 2. Then we've got Enzo Benito and Kevin Siggy, both, more importantly, of the same team. So maybe they can work together to figure something out here. Jacob Brzezinski, who's just joined G2 recently with Nikodem. Can he, get in between the 2 red line cars and try and spoil their party of moving their way up towards the front? that remains to be seen. We've got Marko Pajic on the run of 4 consecutive top 10s, or sorry, P10s, not even just top 10s, P10s for Marko Pajic, looking to break that duck. We've then got Dominic Blyer in 7th, Marcel Shinchik in 8th, who had a very miserable time last time out. Then we've got Lucas Muller and Erhan Yayovski. If you couldn't tell where Tim Yarshall was from, he has got the patch on the side of his shirt there. There is the German flag, representing Germany. Tim Yarshall here in Austria with a couple of corners to go. Quick predictions then, Connery. Who's going to get the dub?
Wisniewski has shown very good pace in the last couple of races this season. If he can pull away from Yarshall here, which is no small task, then he should have this one on lock and key.
Okay, well, I think that we might see either I think we might see Jacob Brzezinski cause a bit of a shock here. I think he's going to try and get involved with the red line cars, but he might end up moving it right the way up the order. Brzezinski is one of those drivers, if he gets the bit between his teeth, he is a very, very dangerous driver indeed. I mean that in the nicest possible way. Across the line we go then. It is indeed round 5 kickoff here. And well, as we head up towards turn number 1, it's a very good start from Enzo Benito. And actually, he might have just got himself ahead of the Porsche of our championship leader, Tim Yarshall. Jakob Brzezinski has got ahead of Kevin Siggy, and he's looking to get ahead then of Tim Yarshall. Up through turn 1 they've come now. We come through the imaginary turn number 2, and the gap for Wisniewski is beautiful. Loving life as we head up towards Remus for the very first time. Tim Yarshall is going to look to make a move there on Enzo Benito. No, he does not. And Kevin Siggy has just gone back up the inside of Jakob Brzezinski. He's up to P4. And well, the only big move really is Enzo Benito. Last week, a miserable week. This week, it's off with an absolute bang.
Yeah, Benito, fantastic move on the start of the race here as we see the battles going on further behind. This is Kevin Siggy versus Jacob Brzezinski now. Brzezinski trying to press on forward, Pajic further back in line in this as well. Everyone's just kind of been stacked up here outside of this top 3. They all get themselves single file in towards turn 6, however, and then same again in towards turn 7. This is really not a section of circuit you can go very easily go wheel to wheel through. I can and have seen it happen, but not on the first lap here of this first race of the DTM Esports Pro Championship at the Red Bull Ring as these guys file their way through the final couple of corners.
Yeah, 24 points up for grabs in this race, 34 points up for grabs in the next race. So, yeah, plenty of points up for grabs, but this one's not worth as many as the second race, be it is a little bit shorter. But across the line we go then to end lap number 1. Wisniewski leads the way. First position for him. Enzo Benito is in 2nd. Tim Yarshall in 3rd. Kevin Siggy 4th. Brzezinski is in 5th. So the only real change there is Enzo's got up ahead of Tim Yarshall. And realistically now, if it does become obvious that he's not going to catch up to Nikodem Wisniewski, how quickly does he decide to slow down the pack and maybe, just maybe, make an opportunity for Kevin Siggy? Although Kevin has got Jakob Brzezinski all up in his rear view mirror now to the side of his car. Well, by the time we come out of Remus, it is a lovely spot then for him, P4.
G2 Esports car again going towards driver's left-hand side as Siggy has to go defensive here in towards 4. That shallower line being taken. Maybe there's an opportunity off the corner here for the Porsche. It's going to carry a bit more speed through. Could potentially angle it to the inside of 6. That's a move that can happen here in the Red Bull Ring, but not close enough to be able to make that move. No gap on the inside to be able to utilize there for Brzezinski, who's shown a lot of pace so far in this race. I know we've only had a couple of laps under our belt, but he's seemingly charging hard and causing Siggy a bit of an issue.
Yeah, so, you know, it's one thing saying, can Enzo slow down Tim Yarshall and give Siggy a position here? But you can't when they're fighting like this. Tim Yarshall looks like he's keeping up with just genuine pace anyway. So you kind of also don't want to give a freebie opportunity because Enzo's going to stop. He's going to start losing that slipstream of Nikodem Wisniewski. The gap now up to about a second, just a couple more tenths here, and it will be over in terms of getting a drag from the car in front. Nikodem Wisniewski proving once again that he is probably the form driver in the championship in terms of their last few results. The last 3 races is P1, P3, P1. Tim Yarshall was P3, P1, P2. So, yeah, in net positions, 1 position better off than our championship leader. So those 2 have been the strongest throughout this season, and maybe it's Nikodem Wisniewski. You know, we would say that because the red line drivers have had their cut drivers up sharper end together a bit more often, that they would have a bigger chance. But as the championship has gone on here, Nikodem Wisniewski really has genuinely thrown a claim towards this championship. The only thing is he's had a DNF and he's had a P22 this season, which has really killed that momentum. But if he was to go out and win the next 4 races, you never know. All it takes is one bad race from Tim Yarshall. You may have Wisniewski taking that crown.
Yeah, that's what he's hoping for at the moment. He's doing all that he needs to do is Wisniewski. You know, he can't physically do anything more than lead this race at the moment and try and get maximum points from it. It's just the circumstances behind that will decide whether or not he's close in the championship or not. That's just the situation. Of course, Enzo Benito getting the good start, getting himself ahead of Yarshel is a very big help here. It means that Yarshel just losing that few more points to Wisniewski, making it a little bit closer when we get towards the final round of the season. I'd argue he'd need maybe 2, maybe 3 more cars in between himself and Yarshel at the moment to make it as competitive as he would like it.
Yeah, 100%. And Yarshel, by the way, running very, very deep on the exit of turn number 1. A very different line to what Enzo Benito was taking. More pressure from behind for Kevin Siggy, as well as Kevin will run the G2 car out a little bit wider. Does leave room on the exit in the end, but he is under some severe pressure. That Porsche looking very quick indeed. Down towards Schlossgold then for the 5th time of this race. Well, Jakub Brzezinski's been told, if you want to make this move, you've got to go round the outside. But look who's also in behind them. Marco Mad Dog Pajic. Maybe an opportunity for the German to make a move himself. He's also dragging along with him Dominik Blyer, Marcel Schinschik currently in 8th position, Lucas Müller in 9th, and we've got Erhan Kijowski in that 10th position. Jakub Brzezinski making his way then through the Worth curve. Runs a little bit deep there as well in that line. Very similar to the car in front. Maybe struggling with the tyres a little bit in terms of temperature at this early stage of the race, due to them just pushing as hard as they possibly can. These two have been fighting from the start. Now we head through Rink, now into the Red Bull Mobile curve. Well, it is normal, so I presume Kevin there just missing, I'm saying missing the apex, hit the apex, not as much as Jakub Brzezinski. But these two, I think these might be going for the next 11 minutes, 20 seconds.
Stuck together like glue on circuit at the moment. Brzezinski has a chance here and there, and doesn't quite get the best exit coming out of turn 1. That might mean he actually comes under threat from Pajic behind, rather than trying to attack Siggy in front here. We can get the look back from Brzezinski's car. Look how big that BMW is in the view there, but no opportunity down in towards the braking zone here. Bit of a wider arc taken there by Pajic to try and get the speed and the traction off the corner. And, you know, we'll see if this gets close on the way down in towards 4. It's good to see a BMW so high up the field, though. We haven't had that in a while.
Yeah, the VMP's not really favoured them, to be completely honest. Yeah, it's not been the quickest of cars, but Marco dragging that car around. Fiducci, the next of the BMWs in the line, currently in 11th spot. Then we've got Vermeulen and Bent Banky as the top 4 of the BMWs. They are in the top 13, no, all of them. Sorry, top 15 are all of them. So they are contending for pretty decent positions. Kevin Siggy, by the way, just got the fastest lap of the race the last time round. So yeah, a little bit of breathing space via Marco Pajic starting to attack, giving Kevin Siggy the opportunity to try and chase down Timothy Yarshel. And I wonder if Kevin could get that move done, and then how long would it take before Enzo decides to pull over and let his teammate through? Because I'm pretty sure that is going to happen if he can get past Tim Yarshel. So Yarshel right now, it is in his own hands. Wisniewski is going to close the gap during this race. He is going to close the gap, but it's not going to be a crazy significant closing of that gap. So it should be still well within Tim Yarshel's hands. It definitely will be, that's for certain. But yeah, he just needs to not panic at this stage. And this is now where someone like Tim Yarshel, who hasn't been in contention for a big championship like this yet, this is, he's new to this. This is where things can start to, you start to have phantom thoughts in your brain, and you start making some rash decisions. You see a potential move being made by Marco Pajic up towards Remus. He goes out nice and wide to open up the corner. I would say Jakub Brzezinski is equal to it, and they will stay in 5th and 6th.
Yeah, you are quite right about Tim, though. This is foreign territory to him, as we see another attempt here from Pajic. Long way around on here on Brzezinski, not quite going to maintain that overlap coming through the exit of the corner here. And again, this is actually stacking up a couple of bit more traffic behind. You've got Dominik Blyer in the Williams Esports Audi looking to try and get aggressive at this stage. You've got Marcel Schinschik in there as well. So it does seem like Brzezinski is being a bit of a bottleneck for these guys here at the moment, as Pajic was unable to get his way through, and now Blyer and Schinschik are the ones that are maybe a little bit more eager at this stage. You can see a slight nose to the inside from Schinschik there.
Yeah, tyre wear's not going to be the biggest factor over a 20-minute race, so they're good with that. But tyre temperature is a big issue. So, you know, you fight with Kevin Siggy, just like Jakub Brzezinski's done, you're pushing the tyres. You're not really worried about the tyres at that stage. You're trying to make a move, so you're just thinking about that objective. So you overheat the tyres, and in a couple of laps, you're going to suffer for it. So now it's about a case of getting them back into a decent temperature range, and you can move on in this race. But Kevin Siggy defended it nicely, and now pushing towards Tim Yarshall. Look at this cluster of 3. This is the battle for a top 6.
Indeed it is, and a move to the inside there. Dominic Blyer not quite going to complete it, but he goes deep on the brakes regardless, and he's also having to try and focus on defending from Chinchik behind as well. Chinchik tucked up inside of the draft. Of course, Blyer's going to get a little bit from Pajic ahead as well. Is there a move to the inside? Yeah, no. Although I think Chinchik was tempted by it.
Yeah, he looked for a little nibble there, decided against it. These two have been racing each other in other series over the last 12 months. So they're very well, I say Dominic Blyer got involved with the ESL R1 later in the season and proved to be one of the very quicker drivers, just like Marcel Chinchik, of course, the first season champion. So these two are well versed in each other's driving styles. Joe Vespi, note there is no team championship. This is just a drivers' championship. So you're trying to get the best performance for your drivers individually. Marcel Chinchik there taking a nice tight line through Rint, now down in towards that Red Bull mobile curve again. And Dominic Blyer is again equal to it, and if anything, has gained a little bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem that Blyer is able to get the exits out of the corners here at the moment, and Chinchik committing to turn number 1 there. A little bit of ground, not quite enough to be able to be a big threat at the moment, but we certainly know the capabilities of Chinchik. You know, we can go and win championships. Not this one at the moment though, but he's previously won championships against some very, very stiff up competition on other platforms. So this is definitely within his abilities to try and progress on forward in this race.
Yeah, Marko Pajic, by the way, very, very close towards Jakub Brzezinski. Has that outside line as we come through Schloss Gold. And by the time we come through the exit, he's being covered off, but that's given Dominic Blyer a chance to catch up. That's given Marcel Chinchik a chance to catch up. So the battle for the top 6 is very much on. Kevin Siggy still with that fastest lap of the race. He is now only a 1/10 of a second behind Tim Yarshall. So the group battling for that P2 are very close as well. Actually, 4/10 separating all 3 of them. So Enzo Benito, can he do his teammate a favour here and get him ahead of Tim Yarshall? It's not going to happen into the second to last corner. It's also not going to happen into the last corner. You might be able to back them up into the first corner, and then they would lose a hell of a lot of time if they especially get caught up on the outside line through turn number 1. But realistically, you're trying to set this up either into turn number 2, which is Remus, or for Connery it's turn number 3, or turn number 4, which is Schlott. Those are the 2 big overtaking opportunities here. So can Enzo make something happen? You can see he's going very slow through there for sure. He is trying to hold up Tim Yarshall. He now moves across. And well, is there an opportunity for Kevin Siggy? Kevin Siggy is the 3rd car in the train. We're getting a lovely cockpit view then as we head up towards Remus for the 10th time. The gap has opened up there. Tim Yarshall is going to drive across. I think that might have been a little bit too late in terms of the defensive move, but he has held on. There's not too much contact actually. It might be perfect. And now Kevin Siggy's got to do all that work once again. Enzo Benito slowing down the German just in behind him, and he's now got to let Kevin go round the outside. As we come down towards Schloss Gold, Enzo's done the job. Kevin's going to go round the outside, and that's why it pays to have a teammate in and around the top with you, because it makes it a little bit easier. You can gain some positions.
It's not pretty, but perfectly played by Team Redline there. That is how you work together. I know, you know, there'll be some in the chat that'll say, wait, that's not fair. You know, you can't use another driver to block another. But just look at Formula One, for example. Happens all the time there. All is fair in love and war. And, well, when you have your teammates at the front, why not utilize it to your best advantage by pulling off that strategy?
Well, if you have Falcon Sim Racing with 2 cars up there, they'd be doing exactly the same thing. If you had 2 G2 cars up there, they'd be doing exactly the same thing. Now, can Enzo potentially do the same and get a couple of cars between Kevin and Tim Yarshall? This is not only helping out Kevin, though, of course. It's helping out Nikodem Wisniewski. Wisniewski, who's currently in the lead of this race now by 2.6 seconds. It's helping him out too. So Tim Yarshall starting to, again, feel the pressure. And right now for him, because because he is close to that qualifying ban, he cannot afford to get involved too much here. So if he does lose a couple of positions, he loses a couple of positions. It is as simple as that. Do not put yourself in a position where you get that qualifying ban, because that could maybe kill your championship lead.
Yeah, he's got to keep it clean, and that's probably the most frustrating thing. We didn't have his webcam up when that move happened, but I didn't see it myself, but I could just imagine the reaction when he realized that the red line car was holding him up, and well, Benito was holding him up, and just to let Siggy all the way through. And now he has another issue to think about, because he has Brzezinski right behind him, who's been having a decent amount of pace today in this race one. So he might have something to say to Yarshel before this race is done as well. But yeah, it must be pretty frustrating behind the wheel of that Porsche at the moment, the Falcon Sim Racing Porsche, because that's not a way you want to lose positions. But in the end, you can't really be too mad about it, because like you said, if Falcon were in the same position, they would have done the exactly same thing as well.
Yeah, there was nothing dirty about it. No one's tried to put him on the grass or anything like that. It was just a simple case of boxing in and then sweeping around the outside. I've had confirmation, by the way, that Jeffrey was put into the wrong grid slot, which is out of his control. He did qualify P4. They put him in P31, so not ideal. It is a separate server though for race number 2, so fingers crossed all will be good for race number 2. Back to the action then. Second to last lap, Tim Yarshel. Again, championship leader. This is not the end of the world. P4 is still a good result. 4 top 4s here, and he is going to, 4 top 5s in this championship heading towards the end of it, and he's going to win the championship. It really is as simple as that. So just keep your nerve. You're going to lose a couple of points here, but it's nothing too crazy. He came into this week with a 43-point advantage. So, you know, that's almost a race win and a half of a feature race. So it's not the end of the world. He's done the hard work. He's done the hard graft. He's got all those big performances at the start of the season. Now it's just all about not making any mistakes, not letting people force you into mistakes.
That's exactly it. It's he's got to show a lot of maturity here, and he actually has matured quite a lot, especially in the past couple of years or so. He's got to not respond to this now. He's got to not, go for a risky move on Benito as a bit of revenge. He's just got to sit there, just stay calm, take some deep breaths, and go, okay, keep the big picture in mind. P4 is still fine as far as my championship is concerned. If there's an obvious opportunity, like getting a run out of 1 right now, then he might go for it, but he's got to be careful.
He certainly does, and well, I think you'll find he's going to at least try, maybe force Enzo to run off. Like, he's not even tried. He's decided against even trying there, and I think that's the clever play. Tim Yarshel, maybe new to being at the sharp end of the championship, but he is very much driving as if he's been there many, many times before. Currently in that P4, this will be a really good result moving to race number 2 today. The only thing I would be worried about is that if Jakub Brzezinski does get even a snifter of an opportunity to make an overtake, he will look to do that because it takes points away from Yarshel and helps his teammate Nikodem Wisniewski. So again, he's not a million miles away from another teammate battling to help out another teammate in Nikodem Wisniewski. As we head then towards the final chicane, in towards the final couple of corners, well, Nikodem Wisniewski has managed to win 2 out of his last 3. He's about to make it 3 out of the last 4 as we come around the final couple of corners. Nikodem Wisniewski, the form driver in the championship, it is safe to say a couple of bad results has rendered him maybe with a slim chance of winning this championship. But as he crosses the line, that championship chance has just become a little bit bigger. Nikodem Wisniewski then does take P1. Kevin Siggy takes 2nd. Enzo Benito takes 3rd. Those 2 drivers between Nikodem and Tim means that he will close the championship lead to Tim a little bit more than he would have anticipated. So it's still on. Again, it was a 43-point gap coming into today. So Nikodem would need to win, I think, all 4 races. Very much the same as Kevin Siggy coming into this, or unless Tim has a real nightmare of a race at some point. Jakub Brzezinski, who was battling with Kevin Siggy ferociously for the first sort of 5 or 6 minutes, he finishes P5. Marco Pajic breaks the duck of 4 P10s in a row. He finishes in P6. Dominic Blyer 7th. We then got Marcel Shinchik in 8th. Lucas Muller in 9th. And then Ethan Yuyovsky in 10th position. Next group of drivers then. Gianmarco Fiducci is in 11th position. And we've got Jack Keithley in 12th. Axel Vermeulen in 13th. Isaac Price in 14th. Ben Spanky 15th. Emre Chihan in 16th, Gillison 17th, 18th for Ottaviani, and then we've got Carton and Paringa in 19th and 20th spot. And then the rest of our drivers then Paringa, Mitchell, Toman, Kunze, Kripner, Neg, we've got Hassa, Lona, Delorme, and Jeffrey Rietfeld. We then also got Rudinger and Werne in the background as well. So that is all of your drivers there. So race one done and dusted. Oh, that was an interesting one there. Of course, Nikodem Wisniewski didn't really have to look backwards there. He qualified in P1. He's managed to get the race victory as well. The only thing he didn't get was fastest up. I think Kevin Siggy got that. I think the biggest talking point, and there's going to be people in the chat who will be like, oh, that's not really that fair. And there's going to be others going, yeah, that's absolutely fair. I guess it depends on which team you support. But yeah, Tim Yarshall got shuffled down the pack because Enzo Benito slowed him down to let Kevin Siggy go for his teammate, who is, of course, fighting for the championship, although it is a slim chance of him winning it entirely because Tim Yarshall's just been that good so far this season. But I think that's what any teammate would do.
I think so too. If I was in that position, I'm I'm outside of the championship fight or right on the edge of it. If my teammate has a good opportunity to try and go chasing for it, then of course I'm going to help them out. That's just the situation, and that's the understanding that they have, and that's just the deal. Sometimes there's no really no other way I could say it. Of course, maybe Siggy's going to buy Benito a beer or two after to try and just say thank you for that one.
Yeah, I think anyone would like to buy Enzo Benito a beer or two, wouldn't they? That is just the way the world is. Right. Anyway, we've just finished race number one. We're very shortly going to head to race number two here at the Red Bull Ring. But this week, testing began for the DTM 40th anniversary season at the Hockenheim Ring. Here is some footage to show you how it went.
Endlich ist es wieder richtig laut. Denn die neue DTM-Saison ist gestartet. Auf dem Hockenheimring drehten die Fahrer bei den offiziellen Tests ihre ersten Runden.
Die Vorfreude ist da, einfach weil es so ein bisschen wie der erste Schultag ist. Alle wieder zusammen, das erste Mal alle zusammen auf der Strecke.
Eine neue DTM-Saison zu starten ist immer was ganz Besonderes. Man sieht die neuen Beklebungen, Lackierungen, ganzen Teams, Fahrer, alles ist neu gemischt.
Und das sind sie. Die 20 Fahrer der DTM-Saison 2024. Vertraute Gesichter treffen dabei auf frischen Wind.
Zum allerersten Mal sind wir auch froh, dass die ersten 10 der letztjährigen Meisterschaft wieder dabei sind.
DTM ist mega stark, sind sicher die besten GT3, GT-Fahrer auf der Welt hier am Start.
Ich glaube, wir können ganz viele Fahrer mit auf die Rechnung packen, die ja wahrscheinlich hier in Hockenheim um den Titel kämpfen werden.
So unterschiedlich die Fahrer als Typen sind, so eint sie ein Ziel. Sie alle wollen ihn schlagen, Thomas Preining. Doch der Champion ist heiß auf die Titelverteidigung.
Der Titel letztes Jahr hat definitiv Hunger auf mehr gemacht. Es ist das beste Gefühl, das ich bis jetzt erleben durfte. Von dem her werden wir alles dran setzen, um das wieder zu schaffen.
In gut 2 Wochen geht es in Oschersleben um die ersten Meisterschaftspunkte dieser ganz besonderen Saison, der 40. Jubiläumssaison der DTM.
Mein erstes Jahr war 2002 im Vorprogramm der DTM, seitdem bin ich dabei und natürlich 3 Titel in den 40 Jahren eingefahren. Von dem her bin ich stolz, ein kleiner Teil der DTM-Geschichte zu sein.
Ich versuche jetzt seit einigen Jahren den 3. Titel hinterherzufahren und den noch so einzupacken. Daher wäre es natürlich schön, wenn es im Jubiläumsjahr klappt.
Doch egal, wer von ihnen Champion wird, Fakt ist, in dieser Saison gibt es definitiv etwas zu feiern. Happy Birthday, DTM!
So we just heard from Thomas Preining, who of course was a maiden champion last season, of course in his second attempt. We've got Tim Yarshall, who in a Porsche as well, looking to become a DTM Esports champion, and right now still leads the championship coming into this race by just over 30 points. We've got ourselves a little warm-up here, then we've got qualifying. So qualifying's a little bit shorter for this race, 8 minutes long, and then we have a 30-minute timed race. There's Moritz Lohner at the background there as well. So Moritz was in race number 1. He's parked up here for race number 2. But yeah, it's a little bit longer race here. They've got a pit stop window though, Connery. So talk us through a little bit about what this pit stop window has, well, the effect it's had so far on the season, and what effect it could potentially have today in this one.
So just to go over it for someone who's new to this series, these drivers will get themselves that mandatory pit stop. They have to take tyres. Okay, so they can't just forget about the tyres, try and get a shorter stop. They have to take tyres. With regards to its effect on the majority of this season, we've seen it make the difference in maybe 1, maybe 2 positions in some cases, depending on exactly when people decide to come in, because of course you can come in early, try and get that undercut, try and get some better track position for yourself. We've seen that used to some success, especially at the Saxon Ring, where some drivers perhaps potentially were a little bit stuck in the mid-pack, came down in early and actually were able to leapfrog a couple of positions on those that stayed out just that little bit longer. But at least as far as the Red Bull Ring, well, I think it remains to be seen. This pit stop window can typically be quite wide, and due to the amount of how quick the laps here, the laps are here at the Red Bull Ring, it gives us a lot of opportunity and a big wide window in terms of laps when these guys will come down in. So it's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure. And I mean, it's just another tool that Red Line & Co. can use to try and disrupt Yarshal's race a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. It is as simple as that. I think clear air is going to be the biggest factor in this one today. Getting a bit of clear air and just figuring stuff out all on your own. Let's go on board then with Julian Kunze for a lap. Let's go in the cockpit cam, shall we? And check out a lap of the Red Bull Ring. Through turn number 1, we will come. You can run out nice and wide through the exit of turn number 1. It doesn't matter what racing game it is. Around the Red Bull Ring, you can kind of run wide around most corners and get away with it to a certain extent. You run through the made-up turn number 2. We now come up the hill towards Remus for the first time in this qualifying session. Not grabbing all of the curve that you would expect there from Julian Kunze. Run a little bit wide. Now we've got the long run down towards Schlossgold once again. So it's blind now. You can't see the entry to the corner until you go over this little crest. And you're braking just as you see the apex. So braking a little bit late there as Kunze slides the car. It looks cool, but unfortunately it's not that quick. And now we're running into Rauch. This is the most technical part of the circuit. So easy to run off into the gravel on the exit. Again, just trying to minimize the slide on entry and, of course, on exit as well. I don't want to light up those rears and ultimately lose time by going sideways. Now we're coming through the Worth curve. On the exit now through turn number 6, down towards Rint. It's a double right-hander now, so Rint and Red Bull Mobile curve. Using the curbing on entry to open up the right-hander. You can run out a little bit wide here, but nothing too crazy. Using the raised blue and white curbing there to just keep traction as we now run around the final corner. We run up towards the lines. Julian Kunze with his first time in this session. Where's he going to put himself? He's going to put himself into P12. But as a lap of the Red Bull Ring, one of my favourite circuits I've ever been to, actually. I had the pleasure of commentating there last year. And it is just like in the middle of The Sound of Music. You honestly feel like you're going to just break into song at any moment. There are just mountains all around you. It is a very unique part of the world.
I've only had the pleasure of going through this sort of area on a coach, because you know it was on the way on a school trip. But yeah, it is incredibly picturesque around these parts, and you look in any direction and it could be a postcard, right? It's fantastic stuff. It was the same when we went to Switzerland. Again, anywhere you look around there, it was just absolutely beautiful, and it's great scenery to set the stage for our second to last event meeting of the season, as we saw Wisniewski head his way across the line. P10 for now. That's a decent banker lap to put in. Now he's going to go chasing for that pole position now in the final 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, very unlike Nicodem, though. Nicodem normally puts an absolute flyer in for his banker time, so to see him down in P11 is quite odd. As Jeffrey Rietveld does go to P4, does he stay there? Yes, he does. Okay, so that issue seems to have figured itself out. More importantly, he is between Kevin Siggy and Tim Yarshall, I think, with the issues that Jeffrey's had in the previous race, by the way. Championship's over. So right now it's him and Enzo Benito. Between those two, realistically now, to try and scupper the chances of Tim Yarshall and help Kevin Siggy go and take this championship. Marcel Shinshik goes up to P1. Leonard Krippner is in P3. So Leonard Krippner who has his best performance so far this season was the last race he was in, actually, prior to this weekend. It was a P7. So yeah, it's getting faster across this whole season. He's had Leonard Krippner has had an 8 times in a P7 once, mixed in with a lot of misfortune. But right now finds himself in a top 3. So that is a very nice performance. And that is exactly what Marcel Chinchik needs. He needs one of his boys up there. And right now, he has got that. So not Marcel Chinchik. Tim Yarshall needs one of his boys up there. And he's got it right now.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic stuff indeed, as we see Enzo Benito coming out of the final corner now. He's on a decent lap. Here is Benito. Does it get him close to pole position? Let's see as he heads his way across the line. It's a good improvement. It's a P2 for the Italian, right next to Marcel Chinchik, but we've got a couple of drivers on laps at the moment. You can see how much purple is on the timing screen at the moment. This can still all change.
Yeah, it certainly can. So right now, Tim Yarshall under a bit of pressure, as is Nikodem Wisniewski. Wisniewski's only in P20. Around the final couple of corners, he will go, though, and he is up on everybody right now. Down towards the final corner for, we're on board with Brzezinski. So Brzezinski are maybe about to break everybody's hearts as he comes down towards the start-finish line. He cuts that timing line, and where does he position himself? Well, it's only P9. What about Wisniewski? Where is Wisniewski? He is struggling here. Well, as I say that, he goes up to a top 5. So 5th position there for Wisniewski, but that is another driver ahead of Tim Yarshall. So for the first time, I would say, over the course of this whole season, Tim Yarshall under some genuine pressure. Where is Yarshall? Well, he's absolutely flying here. Every time he's had a question asked of him, he has had the answer. He's now down to P10 as Fiducci moves his way up. And right now, if he is going to go and not have a quick lap here, he would only have one more opportunity to do so. But this looks good. This looks very good indeed. Round that final corner, and Tim Yarshall, the current championship leader, maybe the champion-elect, comes across the line. Is he going to be good enough to move right up the order? Oh, it's not just good enough to move up the order. He is the top of the order. Tim Yarshall proving that he has got the minerals to be our champion. 3 races out, takes a pole position under the most extreme scrutiny he has been in so far.
By 900ths of a second over Chinchik, as well as Enzo Benito not able to complete that lap there. Still P3, Krippner faster through Sector 1 than what Yarshall was able to put up, so maybe there is some Falcon support on its way towards the top of the order for Tim Yarshall. Let's see what the second sector is like here for Krippner. If it's good, it's decent. So might be on for a bit of an improvement here. He only needs to improve by, 200ths of a second, and he gets himself up into 3rd place. But I think he just invalidated his lap.
Yeah, that is session over then for Leonard Krippner, but that is a good performance, and that is a massive positive for Tim Yarshall, the fact that he's ahead of Wisniewski. Wisniewski is the closest for the championship with Tim Yarshall. So again, I don't think Yarshall's going to be overly worried about Kevin Siggy. Unless Siggy wins the next 3 races, I genuinely believe it is almost impossible for him to win it now. I think Yarshall only really has to worry about Wisniewski. And right now, the perfect sort of recipe is forming because his teammate has turned up. He's gone, do you know what? 3 races to go. I'm going to help you out here. I am going to be your wingman, Mr. Yarshall. And ultimately finds himself then in that 5th position. Kevin Siggy maybe about to find a bit more time. I think he's, about a 1,000th of a second up on his time previously. We're heading then through the final corner. Currently P5 in that order. And as we go across the line now, he's going to back out that lap there. Tim Yarshall has not only got pole position, but that will be the pole position award winner for the season. No one can overturn that deficit. So congratulations to Tim Yarshall. The first of maybe a couple of accolades this season. It will be the pole position award. So that will be an Asher steering wheel going his way.
Incredible performance from Tim Yarshall. Pulls that qualifying performance out of the bag when he needed it most. Of course, it wasn't an ideal time, at least compared to where we're used to seeing him in the qualifying session for the first race. But in this second qualifying session, he definitely stepped up to the plate like we know he can do. Every time he's looked a little bit shaky over the course of this season, he's had something there to try to respond. However, it is Marcel Chinchik that's also on the front row here. We know how aggressive, we know how in your face Marcel Chinchik can be, especially when push comes to shove. Yes, he's not going to be a contender in the championship, but I don't think that'll stop him.
Right, second race at the Red Bull Ring. Ladies and gentle cars, I'm watching on Twitch. I think Connery's got YouTube covered. Let me know how you're doing around the world. Let me know where you're watching from as well, and we will try and give you a shout out. I'm going to head to the RaceRoom Twitch right now as well. There we go, RaceRoom Racing Experience. So I'm going to head over to there. And if you are in the chat, get yourselves involved, say hello, and let me know where you are watching from. So we have got a formation lap, the first time ever in a Pro Series on RaceRoom where we've had a safety car. Of course, there's a partnership with DTM and Cupra for the last few years, and it's nice to see that we are indeed able to have the same exclusivity in sim racing. So thanks to Cupra getting themselves involved, and thanks for RaceRoom for bringing it to a reality. Right, front row, it is, well, the front row plus one, it is Porsche City at the sharp end today. Are we going to see that dominate the entirety of this race? Maybe. But there is a pit window, Connery. That might prove to be what wins this race.
Absolutely. It's just that extra little element to work with, isn't it? It's, you know, you can maybe make a big call in terms of that. Hope you get lucky. You know, try and time it right. Come out in a bit of clear air where you can just run on your own, especially if you feel like you've been blocked over the course of the race. Wisniewski out into the grass got me a little bit concerned there, but returns back to the racing surface.
This isn't Spa 2021, is it? What's going on?
Wrong platform.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, where was? Oh, pit stops. There we go. Yes, it hasn't been an absolutely huge factor over the course of this season so far, but I imagine there's a first time for everything, right?
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. You can see there a lot of work being put in to the inputs for Nikodem Wisniewski, currently in that second position. Tim Yarshall can directly see his championship rival right behind him. And sorry, Nikodem must have gotten to P2 right at the last ditch of qualifying, so I don't remember him being there. And that was merely a minute and a half ago. So yeah, crazy. Nikodem Wisniewski did pull one out of the bag and really has thrown the cat amongst the pigeons. If he can get ahead of Tim Yarshall here, he's going to make next week so interesting. The only unfortunate thing for him is his nearest teammate is P14. So Nikodem's going to have to do this on his own, very much like Tim has had to do through the entirety of this season. So here are your two title protagonists. Leader of the championship, Tim Yarshall. In second spot, it is Nikodem Wisniewski in that G2 livery car with the Red Bull on the side. It's between those two as we head to start race number 2. The feature race with a pit window, a pit stop where they have to change all 4 tyres in this one. 30 minutes long. We're about to go green light racing. It is race 10, round 5 of the DTM Esports Pro Series 2024. And they're almost touching as we're waiting those lights to go green. We are green light racing here, and it's not a good start from either of the front two. And I tell you what, look at this from Marcel Shinshik. Shinshik's going to make it 3, maybe 4 wide. And also there's a red line car getting involved. That's Enzo Benito. Benito runs wide and maybe looking to put a bit of pressure on Tim Yarshall. But that is giving the opportunity for Nikodem Wisniewski to get into the lead of this race. And well, we asked the question, could Kevin Siggy, Jeffrey Rietveld, and Nikodem Wisniewski keep this championship alive into next week? Well, Nikodem Wisniewski right now is staring down the barrel of a double win, and well, not just keeping it alive, but with a genuine chance of winning the championship next week at the Hockenheimring.
Exactly what Wisniewski needed, and in fact it's not over here for Tim Yarshall because he's having to try and defend. Here comes Shinshik around the outside, down in towards turn number 4, trying to get that overlap, trying to get the power off the corner. It's so difficult to hang it around the outside there because the right-handers feel like they never end, and you can't maintain that little overlap on the way in towards the left, so he's going to have to give it up for now. Yarshall, well, much more safer than he was about 20 seconds ago, but not the ideal start whatsoever from your championship leader. Of course, in behind, they had a big old disagreement in terms of positions there as well. Jeffrey Rietveld from, of course, you know, after having his issue in the qualifying of race 1 and the transition from qualifying into the server didn't quite line up with his expectations. We will have to see what the investigation of that technical issue is. Either way, new race for Jeffrey Rietveld, P7.
Yeah, he's doing okay here, isn't he? But he would love to be a little bit further up. Again, that technical issue that he's had pretty much rendered his chances of winning this championship done and dusted, considering that the 2 title challenges at the sharp end are P1 and P2. So it's almost impossible here. Tim Yarshall taking the fastest lap on lap number 2. Are we about to see a move, though, from Kevin Siggy? Kevin Siggy makes a little look around the outside of Leonard Krippner. Krippner is going to make this difficult. That is an absolute fact here. How difficult is he going to make it? Well, I tell you what, I think he was a little bit too kind there. I'm expecting the Falcon Sim Racing car to Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg his way through that corner, but he didn't. He was very, very polite. Kevin Siggy will be very happy with that. As we head then down towards Schloss Goal, Kevin Siggy's just about got that nose up ahead. Are we going to see a bit of dooring action here? Or a little bit more aggressive there, I would say, but nothing too crazy. And Tim Yarshaw, if you watch this replay back, if you go, Leonard, what are you getting up to there? Surely you could have made that a bit more difficult, but ultimately he's going to run wide. Kevin Siggy's going to have a little bit of contact between him. If we come through the double left-hander, I think by the time we get through the exit, it will be Kevin Siggy's corner. Although no, Leonard Krippner is still going to keep it in. Now, this is the teammate that Tim Yarshaw has needed. He has needed someone to slow the pack down and cost people time who are running for the championship, and he's absolutely doing that right now. He's making that Porsche as wide as he possibly can, and the red line drivers can do nothing about it.
Oh, this is a little bit of revenge from Falcon. I get the feeling Krippner feeling hard done by. I mean, he wasn't directly involved with the Arshall situation in race number 1, but he's giving payback all the same and keeping those red line drivers behind him as best as he can. And you can see the rift that has developed between Krippner and Benito a little bit further down the road. Here comes Kevin Siggy once again, making a move on the brakes on the outside here in towards turn 3. Audi versus Porsche, an absolute classic, as you see Siggy trying to get the nose in underneath, but is unsuccessful.
Yeah, and again, you say it's payback. It is exactly what the red line drivers would expect. They did this to Tim, and now Leonard Krippner is just playing the team game perfectly well. It is a red line sandwich between the Falcon Sim Racing bits of bread as it stands. And once again, Kevin Siggy cannot get that job done. And this brings the pit window into question now. If you're the red line cars, do you just come in early to try and get out of this? Because right now, the championship's just slipping between your fingers. Ooh. Kevin runs out wide. He's trying to go around the outside of Krippner. Krippner doing a sensational job here for his team. This is brilliant from him. He's gone from not doing enough for me to doing the best job ever in the space of about half a lap. Fair play.
Yeah, I mean, the red line cars won't be able to dive down pit lane this time. It opens in 27 seconds, so it'll have to be the next lap for them. If they're in the same position at the end of the next lap, they're going to come in. Absolutely 100% guaranteed. They cannot afford to get caught up behind Krippner here.
No, I completely agree with you there. It's almost now become 2 races. So the front group have managed to get away. There's 1.8 seconds separating the top 4. And then you've got Krippner, who is the lead car of maybe the slowest pack in history of GT racing around here. He has slowed them down so much. There's just no gap to work with. Ridiculous stuff. Again, it is perfectly done. We've seen, how to make an overtake using your teammate, and now we're seeing how to bring a gap for your teammate at the front of this race. Kevin Siggy goes really deep then through Remus. He does have the overlap on the outside line, but once again, Krippner positions his car perfectly well. He's now going to get across the bonnet of Kevin Siggy. I don't think Kevin's got the overlap at all, although Krippner decides, you know what, I'm just going to keep holding this inside line. This is going to hemorrhage more time for that red line car. Can Kevin keep the overlap? Can he keep the inside line as they head down towards Rauch? He can't. Krippner has once again scuppered Kevin Siggy, although I think the send here essentially is going to get that job done. But it's a 6.5 second gap now between these and the race leader. Job done. Leonard Krippner, take a bow for your team. That is beautifully done.
Still going to maintain an overlap here. It's not quite done just yet. And how do they negotiate coming down on towards the pit lane when they're side by side like this? If any of them decide to do so, as there we go. I think fan out 3 wide, diving down the inside was Jeffrey Ringfeld there. It's all a bit chaotic back here. Now it's the 2 Falcon cars that are going wheel to wheel with each other. Oh, big amount of confusion there as we're seeing a couple of cars down on towards the pit lane. Wisniewski's come down here.
Yeah, he absolutely has. So Wisniewski has come into the pits from the lead of the race. So that is a very interesting decision. I guess he does come out with clear air because he will be the lead car. But yeah, clear air seems to be the aim of the game, which, to be fair, does back up what I said earlier on. I'm right twice in the season, crazy. But yeah, Nikolai Wisniewski has decided to come in. I just think you've got too much to lose by making that kind of decision. You see Krippner, by the way, trying to send it there. Sorry, that's Lucas Muller now, isn't it? Lucas Muller is the lead car now of the Falcon Sim Racing team, trying to get ahead of the number 69, nice, of Jeffrey Rietveld. Side-by-side action, there's Dominic Blyer and Leonard Krippner. But the job done right now. He's got that 7 second gap and just considering how close these drivers are in terms of pace. 7 seconds in a 30-minute race. That is just exceptionally well done there. Do you know what? If Tim Yarshall goes ahead and wins this race, Leonard Krippner, for me, gets driver of the day.
Yeah, I think so too. The lap time deltas were ridiculous throughout the entire sequence. It was 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap slower than your top 3 cars. That's the pace that Krippner was running to keep everyone behind. Wow.
Yeah, just absolutely outstanding, isn't it? It really is. Into the pits then for Leonard Krippner. He's probably got no tyres left, considering how he was driving. I've just seen in the chat there, Karma. Yeah, absolutely. Red line worked together perfectly well to get an overtake Kevin Siggy earlier on. It was, again, executing the team game perfectly. And ultimately, we've just seen exactly the same there from the Falcon Sim Racing team. So it's nice. I like it. I think it's spicy. It's great. It creates storylines for us. It creates, you know, maybe a bit of argy-bargy between teams. I absolutely love it there. Nikolai Wisniewski then. Marcel Shinchik just in behind. I think Shinchik may have gained a little bit here, actually. But yeah, he finds himself in that P3 as we go across the start-finish line. So yeah, Wisniewski with all that clear air in front of him, all that clear track, hoping to try and close that imaginary gap, or extend, sorry, that imaginary gap to Tim Yarshall. He won't find out where Yarshall is until Yarshall pits. So what does Yarshall do now, Connery? Does he decide, you know what, I've got to wait until the end here? Or can he afford to do that? Can he afford to let other drivers get onto, you know, the faster tyre with the fresh rubber? It's not a big difference, but it will be a big enough difference, you know, and just try and, you know, even if he does come out behind Nikolai Wisniewski, or does he stay out longer and just make sure that he's really quick at the end of this race and maybe then looks to attack? Because overtaking, you know, it's been an amazing championship, but overtaking has not been at its premium this season. Track position has always been king.
Yeah, it has, and well, Yarshall staying out another lap longer. So this is interesting. This is the first time we've seen a massive difference in terms of the strategy directly in between top runners. So it's a very interesting call there for Yarshall. We have Emre Chian down on towards the pit lane, same with Jack Keithley as well, as we wait for everything to sort itself out here. But Wisniewski, he's running in clear air now, and we know what his clear air pace is like. We know what his qualifying pace is like. It is not too shabby indeed. So when he has this clear track in front of him and no pressure whatsoever, he's going to be at his best. But let's see what the lap time is for him coming across the line here, because the last lap was an out lap, 1:35.1. Let's see what this lap is. So he comes across the line now, 1:28.4. 5.3. That is just a couple of hundredths of a second faster on that last lap than what Yarshall was able to do.
Look how close Enzo Benito is, considering he was behind. Hold on, was he? Yeah, he was behind Krippner, right? Or was Enzo ahead? No, Enzo was in the lead group, wasn't he? He was in the lead 4. Just trying to think. Oh, yeah, he was definitely
right at one point, weren't they?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just trying to think. Was he one of the drivers being held up? It's Jeffrey and Kevin that were being held up by Leonard Krippner, so that's why Enzo's close up there. Say he's just closed in almost a 6-second gap that Leonard Krippner have made, if that was the case, but it is not the case. There is Jeffrey. He leads the next group of cars. We've got Gianmarco Fiducci, of course, just in behind him. Leon Rudinger, who has pit again. You can see next to their name, we've got the number 1 in a green circle as Yuyovsky decides to come into the pits now this time around. We're on board then with Nikolai Wisniewski. We think he's got the net lead of this race between him and Tim Yarshall. Kevin Siggy, by the way, is closing that gap to Tim Yarshall massively, but they're both on exactly the same strategy, so it becomes very, very difficult for him to make the move. But he was 7 seconds behind, but once everyone decided to pit around him, that clear track, he's nearly gained a second and a half. So very impressive stuff. But again, Leonard Krippner in a race that's so close like this, 7 seconds is an absolute age. It's just impossible to overturn that deficit. It's a brilliant job by the Falcon Sim Racing team, and that might be, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Tim Yarshall. Tim Yarshall has been the outstanding driver. He's done everything in this championship, and he deserves all of the credit on his own. He deserves the flowers. But ultimately, that move from Leonard Krippner, that couple of laps from Leonard Krippner, might be the final nail in everyone else's coffin that does ultimately give Tim Yarshall the DTM Esports Pro Series Championship 2024.
It could be, but we have one more event to go after this one. We still have 2 races.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count it out.
And Wisniewski winning race number 1, and potentially he's in the lead of this race as well. there is every reason to suggest that that Nicodem is going to make a massive fight of this. So you're right, it's not all done and dusted, but it would be rude not to say how much hard work Tim Yarshall have put in. His consistency has been above and beyond everybody else's. His worst result this season is a 5th. He's had a 4th as well. Every other race has been a podium performance. So no one else is anywhere near that in terms of their clear record.
Absolutely. It's been great so far. I'm keeping an eye on these lap times. Yarshall won 28.445 last time. Nicodem Wisniewski, so that was actually the fastest lap of no, not the race, but it was Tim Yarshall's fastest personal best, I suppose. Right. And it was just a couple of hundredths of a second faster on Wisniewski. So fresh tyres not that valuable at the moment. Of course, you have to take a little bit of extra fuel while you take the tyres, which cancels that out, I suppose.
Yeah, so this is good news for Wisniewski, though, for later in this race, knowing that even though he's coming early, it means that he's not going to be suffering crazily later on in the stint. But yeah, Tim Yarshall, I would imagine, comes in this time around. He will be splitting this 50-50. It makes sense to do so. I believe he's going to come out in still. It's going to be tight. It's going to be so tight, actually. I think he's going to come out in second position, but it remains to be seen. He comes around then the second to last corner, and he decides to dive in. Let's stay on board then with Tim Yarshall, or maybe actually we should look at Nicodem Wisniewski. That is the battle. It's between those two. Yarshall's going to stop, and we are coming up towards route for Nicodem Wisniewski. So he has got himself 4 corners to negotiate after this one, and then it will become all about him versus Tim Yarshall on the merge on the exit of the pits. Remember, they've got to change all 4 tyres. So heading towards the final 2 right-handers, Nicodem Wisniewski. He is very close to ending this lap. Tim Yarshall yet to get moving by the looks of things, so he's still in his pit stall. 2 corners to go, and Wisniewski will just be thinking this is the longest lap time ever. Needs to get ahead, I think, to really make a run at this championship. Where is Yarshall? Is Yarshall getting going yet? Across the start-finish line, we are going to go. Well, he is getting going, and it is very quickly going to get up to speed. He's got the inside line as we come through turn number 1, of course, with that pit exit. And wow, Nicodem Wisniewski is going to get him, but does anybody else get him? No, he does not. So Tim Yarshall does come out into P2. Nicodem Wisniewski, like I said at the start of this race, staring down the barrel at a pair of P1s today, and not just taking it to a final round next week at the Hockenheim Ring, but with a genuine chance of being a champion. Tim Yarshall won't be panicking right now. He will still have a very healthy lead. He'll have, I think, about a 35, 36-point lead going into next week. So, of course, it's still a very, very hard thing to overturn. But Nicodem Wisniewski is doing everything in his power right now to make sure that we have a rumble at Hockenheim Ring.
Yeah, he is. He really, really is. What a performance in the last couple of rounds of the season, for Wisniewski. Of course, he showed the pace early on in the season as well. It just wasn't the right set of circumstances. Got caught up in instance here and there. Has unfortunately dropped him so many points that he's still not that close in the championship. It could have been so much closer at this stage if he was able to get to the checkered flag unscathed in some of those early events. But the recovery has been absolutely fantastic here for Wisniewski. It still might not be enough depending on how that final event goes, I acknowledge. But you do have to respect the tenacity to be able to bounce back from a poor couple of rounds at the start.
Yeah, just to clarify the results of the season, Tim Yarshall's had a 2nd, a 1st, a 4th, a 2nd, a 5th, a 3rd, a 1st, a 2nd, and today it's a 4th and a 2nd as it stands. Nicodem Wisniewski has gone 4th, DNF, that hurts.
Yeah.
A 1st, a 3rd, 22nd, that hurts. A 1st, a 3rd, a 1st, a 1st, and it looks like it might be another 1st. So he's won, by the time we come up towards the end of this race, if he does indeed win this, he would have won 4 out of the last 5 races, and the one he didn't win, he was P3. Massive performance from Nicodem Wisniewski, and really showing why he is one of the best in racing in the world, and showing actually why G2 have gone out there and invested in someone with that kind of talent.
It's just a big shame about the DNF and the P20, right? It's what this championship could be looking completely different right now if he was able to get to the end of those races unscathed. But it's we can think about it as a fantasy. It's not our reality, though. as we see a couple more drivers come down onto the pit lane as Isaac Price and Lucas Müller have decided that now is a pretty good time to pit. But inside the final 10 minutes of this race now, Luke, of course, Yarshel, after keeping himself out there for a couple of laps after that first stint, he'll have a slightly fresher tyres for the end of this race now than Wisniewski, and, well, he could put them to good use potentially because he's still on the edge of the slipstream here, so he will be feeling the effects, and I don't count out a Yarshel race win just yet, although he is sort of having to focus behind as well because Chinchik's not too far away.
Yeah, that would be some statement, wouldn't it? You know, it doesn't need to make the overtake, would have a healthy lead going into the final round here. I'm not sure he had to defend that. So again, Tim, maybe his inexperience popping out a little bit here, but what a statement it would be if he has a chance to overtake the one driver that can, you know, beat him in the DTM Esports Pro Series 2024 with 2 races to go. So not only have a healthy lead, but let him know, well, if it comes down to it, I can absolutely overtake you. You know, could the same he said for Nikodem Wisniewski. Has he managed to do that during his championship? No, he hasn't. Yarshel's been just ridiculously good. The only time it's really been overtaken was where red line last race, where it took another driver to box him in and ultimately help his teammate out, although he runs a little bit wider on the exit route in towards the Worth curve. But yeah, Nikodem Wisniewski isn't under too much pressure right now. 9 minutes to go, 1.3 second gap on this sim. That's a big gap. That's a very difficult gap to overturn. And actually, you might see here, Marcel Chinchik is under a little bit of pressure from Enzo Benito. Can Enzo potentially find one more spot and try and help his team once again and get ahead of Yarshel? Is there a world here, Connery, where Enzo could get ahead of Yarshel and maybe do the same again?
It'll be much more difficult, that's for sure, especially given the tyre discrepancy between the two. But if that's what he has to do, then Benito is one of those that is very capable at it. I mean, same with Chinchik as well, to be honest here. So Yarshel definitely isn't safe still at this stage. Still has a couple of things to be concerned about. If he loses the position to Chinchik, well, of course, it just hands more points on the silver platter to Wisniewski to make sure that gap is as small as possible coming into our finale of the Hockenheim Ring. If he then loses the spot to Enzo Benito as well, it starts getting a little concerning then.
Yeah, you can definitely guarantee, guys, that next week I will be doing mathematics throughout the whole of the broadcast to definitely let you know how it is going live. Maybe we'll have someone help us out with that as well, but we will be able to tell you the full story next time around. But as it stands, Nikodem Wisniewski is going to be a 2-time winner today, meaning that he has managed to get the most wins out of everybody so far this season. He would have 5 in total, and that would be 3 more than anybody else this season. So very impressive stuff for Nikodem Wisniewski. It would definitely close the gap on to Tim Yarshel. It wouldn't be a significant amount. Tim Yarshel was only 4th, and it's only a 4-point difference between P1 and P2 in this round. So I think it will be the difference of about 12 points. I think we're going to be at sort of 31, 32 points difference heading into next week. So Tim Yarshel will still have a massive healthy advantage heading into that, and, you know, almost one hand on that trophy. But Nikodem Wisniewski has made it interesting. After having a DNF and a P22 this season, he has not let that deter him, and he's giving it absolutely everything to make sure that he is in with a chance heading into the final week. And I can only tip my hat to that sort of mentality. Very, very nice stuff indeed.
Not giving up, getting those W's, at least in the races, and that's all he needs to do. The rest of it is kind of out of his hands.
Just like John Cena, never give up. Hustle, loyalty, and respect. That's where you were going, Connery, wasn't it? That was exactly where you were going with that.
I was about to hear some trumpets, but I don't think we summoned.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, there we go.
Nikodem Wisniewski is the John Cena of DTM Esports. There you go. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. And some say you can't see him, but I can. He's just right a little bit further up the road.
Absolutely. He's got, what, 1.4 seconds over Tim Yarshel at the moment in a very, very comfortable spot. Nice to see that G2 Porsche doing so well. But of course, this still isn't over yet. Still 6 minutes left to go here in this one. Of course, the gaps have kind of stagnated a little bit in and amongst these top couple of positions. It'll give us an opportunity actually to check in about what's going on elsewhere. Let's see if some drivers that perhaps not having the best of days here today. One of them, one of our previous champions, of course, Moritz Lundner. He's currently on the back of a pretty long train in the mid-pack here at the moment, so maybe a bit of entertainment for him at the end of this race here to see if he can press on forwards. But it's always been a bit of a struggle for those BMWs to make any sorts of progress in the vast majority of the races that we've had so far. I mean, we had someone in the RaceRoom YouTube chat mention that there were like 2 of the 5 rounds where BMWs were decent, but then of course, you know, the rest of the races they've kind of fallen by the wayside. So yeah, it has been very, very difficult for them. Although Barcelona down the inside is looking to get that pass done, and does so over the under.
Yeah, and this is the state of sim racing we're in right now. The BOP is a big conversation because they can't just choose what car they want now. The likes of Mouse, they have to choose the BMW because they're contracted to BMW. It is as serious as that now. Obviously, we've got Mercedes Esports within sim racing. They're not in this championship, but they would have to choose a Mercedes, for instance. So, like, yeah, there is massive consequences to a BOP, especially if you're on the wrong end of it. But that is motorsport in general. It can never be perfect because the cars are just so different. We're seeing a lovely little battle here with Florian Hasser looking to try and get involved with Ralph Paringer as we head down towards the final couple of corners. Flash of the lights there from Ralph Paringer. And I don't know what he's flashing lights, just to say hello to the car in front, Emery Cheehan. I want to give a shout out to Leon Rudinger. It's going to be a best performance. Not only is he P8 right now, but he's got the fastest lap of the race. Leon Rudinger's performances this season have been 22nd, a DNF, it did not start, a 22nd, 20th, 16th, 21st, and 22nd. Pretty consistent, but just the wrong end of consistent, unfortunately, for him. But P8 right now and a fastest lap. It's a very nice performance this week.
Yeah, and loses down the inside of Fiducci there, but Fiducci is able to cover it off. So Rudinger not completely done with climbing up the order just yet. To gain P7 by the time this race is done. Not a lot of time left in this one, all things considered, but plenty of time to make a move. And again, you know, these high-paced BMWs, Fiducci and Rudinger, really sort of outperforming their cars at the moment.
Yeah, just a little bit. At this stage of the season, they put so much practice in. A nice performance would make this very much worthwhile because it is so competitive out there. It's so difficult to get a result. There's no such thing as a freebie. It really is hard work pays off. It is as simple as that. You know, Wisniewski, Tim Yarsha have put that hard work in. That's why they are at the sharp end. But look at the gap between the front two. We have got ourselves, I think, still 3 laps to go. This is the 3rd from last lap.
Indeed it is. Running up across the line and in towards turn number 1 they come. Again, so important to try and maximize the run possible out of that first turn to carry the speed all the way down this straight to enable any sorts of opportunities in towards turn 3. But again, I don't think these guys are close enough to really be thinking about sending it here. They have to wait and maybe attempt another time. Although Chinchik carried a good amount of speed through the corner, had a decent exit as well. So making progress, and well, if he can threaten Tim Yarshall here at the end of the race, I think there's going to be a check in the mail from G2 and Redline.
Yes, I think there will be. It's very, very impressive stuff. Marcel Chinchik has just had one of those seasons to forget, really. All that time ago in round number 1, can you remember who won the first race of the season, Connery?
I can't remember.
Marcel Chinchik.
Oh, it was
Marcel Chinchik won the first race of the season, of the main season. He was P4 in his qualifying round to get through. This might be handy, by the way, for Nikodem Wisniewski, if he could get Marcel Chinchik between, as you've just mentioned, of course, sending that check from G2 to R8G and potentially to Team Redline as well, but Tim Yarshall holds firm. And as was mentioned last week from Kevin Siggy himself, Tim Yarshall was very close to a qualifying ban, so can ill afford to get really involved if they do go side by side. Cannot be in a position where he squeezes someone off. But yeah, back to Marcel Chinchik, who's currently in that top 3. He was our first race winner. He got 1st and 9th position, and heading into rounds number 3 and 4, races number 3 and 4, round 2, he was actually 3rd in the championship. He was looking very, very strong indeed, but it just went wrong. As we see almost a bit of touching there, they're all good. Since then, he's had 20th, 8th, 21st, 26th, 13th, 30th. Not being good. Are we about to see a move, though, down towards Schlossgold? You can bet your bottom dollar that Tim Yarshall's going to take that inside line, but is he going to run deep on the exit? He is a little bit, but ultimately we'll have that inside line once again. And realistically now, Enzo Benito just needs to take advantage of any misdemeanors between the two of them. We've got 35 seconds left. I think we are going to cross the line one more time and have a 20th lap in this race. Nikodem Wisniewski is heading in towards that final chicane. It's going to be so tight. It is going to be so tight, actually. Is this the last lap, or are we going to go for one more? Ooh. I think we're going to have one more lap here. Yeah, we are, for 16 seconds and around.
No.
Well, there we go. So we probably not then. Around then the second to last corner, around the last corner. We're about to come across the line. Are we about to see another race victory? Across the line then for Nikodem Wisniewski. And we do have one more lap remaining. So I am better than a computer, apparently, as we come through turn number 1. No fist pumps there. And I got it by about half a second, Connery.
You were more accurate than my timing system. Because my timing sheet was saying that was the last lap, but we continue one more. Like you said, no celebration from Wisniewski, who's actually leaning forward to try and see how much, I imagine, trying to see how much time was left in one of his information boxes.
Yeah, probably. Well, all he needs to know is it's one more tour around the Red Bull Ring and he's going to become a 5-time winner in the DTM Esports, 3 more than anybody. And that means he will there's no one who can get anywhere near him in terms of the race victories in the season. So he will have the most wins. It is as simple as that. So we're into the mid part of this circuit. We're heading through the Rouch curve for the very final time. Double left-hander into the work curve as well. For, again, the very final time. It's a race lead for Nikodem Wisniewski. It is a second time of asking for him where he will answer that call and go, yep, I will absolutely take a race victory. Pick up 2 for the week. And I'm just looking back here, nobody has managed to get a double race win so far this season. The closest lap actually was last time out with Tim Yarshall getting a P1 and a P2 and round 1 and 2 where he got second and a first. But it wasn't last time round for the last lap. It is this time round for the last lap. Across the line we'll go for Nikodem Wisniewski, the John Cena of the DTM Esports Championship, apart from we can't see him. And well, he does take the race victory. You can tell how much it means to him. He's buzzing, and he does take the championship into the final races of the season at the Hockenheim Ring next time round. Tim Yarshall does take P2, Mr. Consistent, striking once again. Marcel Shinchik back into the podium situation. Fair play to him. Enzo Benito is in 4th. He's had a pretty good day considering last week he had 2 qualifying bans and he wasn't very well. He still isn't very well, to be fair. Finishing in 4th spot. Kevin Siggy finishes in 5th, and then the trio of red line cars is completed by Jeffrey Rietveld. We then got Fiducci, Rudinger, twice because he's that good. He does deserve a shout out though. Best performance of the season for Leon Rudinger. P8 today and the fastest lap of the race, I believe. Isaac Price then is in 9th position, and then we've got Leonard Krippner, who probably deserves driver of the day just because of what he did with the red line cars of Kevin Siggy and Jeffrey Rietveld. He slowed them down so much that he gained the front 4 7 seconds. Marcel Shinchik, Nikodem Wisniewski, Tim Yarshall, and Enzo Benito gained 7 seconds because of Krippner over 3 laps, slowing down the pack. Team Red Line won from the first race of making an overtake on Tim Yarshall using the team. Falcon Sim Racing won because he slowed them down for a significant amount of time in race 2. It was beautiful to watch. Axel Vermeulen P11, Dominic Glyer P12, Lucas Muller 13th, Brzezinski 14th, Otto Viani 15th, Carton in 16th, Chian 17th, Banky, Yujovski and Peringa are your top 20. Then we've got Moritz Lohner, Florian Hasser, Mitchell, Delorme, Pajic, Gillison, Keithley, Neg, and Kunzer as your classified finishers. Worley is a DNF in P30. And then to round it out, it is Yuri Toman. So Yuri Toman, P31, but it is a DNF. Oh, breathe, Connery, breathe. What a round of races we've had there. And for the first time, we've had the teams working together. It's something that I think is maybe frowned upon within the drivers because they genuinely have been really well behaved. And I'm not saying they've been poorly behaved today. I just think the drivers have decided today, we can actually affect how one of our drivers goes. Because the later you go in the championship, normally you've only got 1 driver, maybe 2, that from each team that can potentially win the championship. So it makes sense for you to almost throw away the chances of one of them to help another driver. But Redline in race number 1, they boxed Tim Yarshall in, that gave Kevin Siggy the chance to run around the outside and ultimately get himself into P2 in the race and demote Yarshall down into P4. But Leonard Krippner with an unbelievable set of circumstances because he just held them up for 7 seconds. 7 seconds the gap from the top 4 down to the next pack of drivers because of Krippner making that Porsche as wide as possible for Falcon Sim Racing. So, yeah, really, really nice bits of teamwork we've seen used today. But once again, Tim Yarshall, absolutely incredible from him. Still managing to have top 5s from every single round. But realistically, the best driver today was Nikodem Wisniewski. 2 wins from 2 and genuinely has a chance now of becoming our champion next time out. It's a tough ask because Tim Yarshall is so far ahead. But he's done everything he possibly could today by winning 2 out of 2.
Yeah, perfect performance for Wisniewski. Absolutely perfect. In terms of race pace, anyway, it was really quite demonstrative of his pace over the course of this season. It's just those, you're going to be looking back on that DNF and then on the P20 plus and just thinking what could have been. If you even finished top 10 in those races, the points gap would still be much more manageable than it is right now. But at the same time, you kind of do have to put those out of your minds now. This is the situation. This is the reality of things. Let's see what happens at Hockenheimring because, one bad race from Yarshall and all of a sudden the whole thing's blown wide open.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Well, our track times come to an end here in the Esports Series for round number 5. But in the real series, for the 40th anniversary, DTM is back. And this week, they actually headed to the Hockenheimring for their first test session of the season. And we've got some highlights of how that went.
Endlich ist es wieder richtig laut. Denn die neue DTM-Saison ist gestartet. Auf dem Hockenheimring drehten die Fahrer bei den offiziellen Tests ihre ersten Runden.
Die Vorfreude ist da, einfach weil es so ein bisschen wie der erste Schultag ist. Alle wieder zusammen, das erste Mal alle zusammen auf der Strecke.
In eine neue DTM-Saison zu starten ist immer was ganz Besonderes. Man sieht die neuen Beklebungen, Lackierungen, ganzen Teams, Fahrer, alles ist neu gemischt.
Und das sind sie, die 20 Fahrer der DTM-Saison 2024. Vertraute Gesichter treffen dabei auf frischen Wind.
Zum allerersten Mal sind wir auch froh, dass die ersten 10 der letztjährigen Meisterschaft wieder dabei sind.
DTM ist mega stark, sind sicher die besten GT3, GT-Fahrer auf der Welt hier am Start.
Ich glaube, wir können ganz viele Fahrer mit auf die Rechnung packen, die ja wahrscheinlich hier in Hockenheim um den Titel kämpfen werden.
So unterschiedlich die Fahrer als Typen sind, so eint sie ein Ziel. Sie alle wollen ihn schlagen, Thomas Preining. Doch der Champion ist heiß auf die Titelverteidigung.
Der Titel letztes Jahr hat definitiv Hunger auf mehr gemacht. Es ist das beste Gefühl, das ich bis jetzt erleben durfte. Von dem her werden wir alles dran setzen, um das wieder zu schaffen.
In gut 2 Wochen geht es in Oschersleben um die ersten Meisterschaftspunkte dieser ganz besonderen Saison, der 40. Jubiläumssaison der DTM.
Mein erstes Jahr war 2002 im Vorprogramm der DTM, seitdem bin ich dabei und natürlich 3 Titel in den 40 Jahren eingefahren. Von dem her bin ich stolz, ein kleiner Teil der DTM-Geschichte zu sein.
Ich versuche jetzt seit einigen Jahren den 3. Titel hinterher zu fahren und den noch so einzupacken. Daher wäre es natürlich schön, wenn es im Jubiläumsjahr klappt.
Doch egal, wer von ihnen Champion wird, Fakt ist, in dieser Saison gibt es definitiv etwas zu feiern. Happy Birthday, DTM!
So, yes, they're back on track. The DTM cars for a 40th season are back, and they will be kicking off at Oschersleben not far from now. Right, let's check out then the pole position award, which has been won. It is done and dusted. No one can beat that Tim Yarshall. So, as you can see there, Moritz Lohner had 1 pole position, then Tim Yarshall got himself, he's got himself 6. It's really as simple as that. Nikodem Wisniewski's got himself 2, and then we've got Jeffrey Rietveld with 1. So, congratulations to Tim Yarshall on picking up the pole position award. Absolutely outstanding from him. Let's check out the fastest lap award as well then, which we have got the graphic for. And the fastest lap award today goes to Kevin Diggy for Team Redline. The lap time was a 1:28.081. Right, Connery, let's wrap this up. No one's here to talk to us, unfortunately, so we're going to just wrap it up. But let's, before we wrap up, have a look at the schedule, because next week it is the finale. It is between 2 drivers. So next week, make sure that you are here. It will be at 7 p.m. CEST. It'll be at 6 p.m. And if you're over in America, if it's the East Coast, that's 5 hours before UK, so that'll be 1 p.m. And if you are over on the West Coast, that will be 10 a.m. So 1 p.m. and 10 a.m. for you over in America. But it comes down to this. 2 drivers. It is between Tim Yarshall, who leads the championship, and Nikodem Wyszewski. It is Falcon Sim Racing versus G2 Esports. Oh, from me, thank you very much. From Connery as well, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. We'll catch you next time, where it's finale time and maybe some fireworks on track.